A couple of notices that I'll share with you, they'll be on the screen. Firstly, a really big thank you to everyone who helped and served and prepared yesterday. Yeah. For those who served in the kitchen, that was amazing. Who had scones and soup? Yeah, not together, but at some stage, scones and soup, amazing. For those who served on the barbecue, had a sausage, yeah. The strawberry stall, anyway, yes. How many times did you go back to the strawberry stall? Cakes, craft, plants, books, bric-a-brac, children's activities, yeah, okay. The setup, anyone set up, pack down? What about the people who cleaned the cemetery for the last week, hey? Thank you. Advertising, all sorts of things. Huge thank you to everyone. Our biggest supporters or drivers of this was, of course, Helen Lucas, Mark and Heather Gibbs, and Jen Parker. So thank you. We need a drum roll, please, drum roll. We made $6,886. But there is soup for sale. There's pumpkin soup, minestrone soup, $3 for a serve. So it'll be out there in the morning tea area. If you want to buy some to take home, vouch for it. Beautiful soup. There's some plants out there if you just want to make a donation towards them. And buns. There's heaps of buns left over from yesterday's sausage sizzle. There is no room in our freezer. So if you just want to take a packet home, make a donation towards that, or have it with your soup, hey? They go together. Please do that, because otherwise we don't know what we're going to do with them. There's just no room for them. So you're free to take them. So yes, I think that was all for yesterday. Thank you so much, everybody. It was a great time of connecting and a great time of us working together. And of course, our benefit of that was probably close to $7,000. So well done. A notice or a request for help this Wednesday is playgroup. Heather and Mark are going away without permission from us. They well-deserved time away. But the setup for playgroup, we need a bit of help with that. So if anybody can come between sort of 8:30, 9:30 time frame to help Holly and Ken set up some of the big equipment, please do that. And also even pack down would be helpful as well at around 11. Would really appreciate that. Talk to Ken if you want any more information, and he'll help you, direct you. We have a combined service next Sunday, 8:30. We also have a baptism, an adult baptism. Where's Tiffany? I saw you. Oh, hello. So our service will actually go a little bit longer, 8:30, probably won't finish till 10, because by the time we include communion and then a baptism, which is full immersion, so you've got to pray for 22 degrees next Sunday, please. Nothing colder than 22 degrees, none of the 6 degrees nonsense. Or a wetsuit. So the service will be a little bit longer than our normal services, so be prepared for that. I have a prayer night tonight from 5 till 6. If you're able to come, please do. It's always a good opportunity. It just goes so quickly when you're joining with other people in prayer. Please come and join us for that. We also have the Blue Care training tomorrow. So if you put your name down to serve at Blue Care at the Aged Care Centre, there is some mandatory training for us. So that's tomorrow from 10 till 12, starting with some morning tea. If you can't make tomorrow because you're working or other commitments, there will be a nighttime training. We haven't secured a date yet, but talk to Mark, because Mark is going to organise that time with the chaplain. So we'll organise an evening for those who can't make tomorrow. What's next? Notices. If you want to notice in for the notices for August, please have them to the office by Thursday afternoon, because Susan sends them out Friday morning. Oh, Wednesday. Okay. Sorry, it's got 30th there. Well, the 7:30 people are going to have it to you on Thursday. Working Bee coming up, excuse me, next Saturday from 7 till 11. If you can come at any time between those hours to serve in the Working Bee, talk with Neil about what those jobs might involve. You can come prepared for that. The cemetery's all been cleaned, so a lot of that's already been done, but there is always cleaning of windows and a lot of things that we can do. Some of the chapel house and all sorts of stuff. So chat with Neil, he'll give you a list of some of the jobs that you can prepare for. Date claimer, the bush dance coming up on Friday the 28th of August. This is an opportunity for us, firstly, to have fun. The bush dances are a great time. But secondly, we're going to be raising money. All of the money raised from this will go to the high school chaplain. So as you know, Kenmore High School has 2 chaplains, and some of the major financial contributors have had to pull out, and so there's not enough funding to support the 2 chaplains. The school wants them, the kids want them, I think the parents want them. There just isn't the money to support that. So this is our attempt to raise some funds. Even if you don't want to dance, come along and make a contribution, make a donation, laugh at everyone else who's dancing. Bring friends and neighbours, anybody who you think might enjoy this time together. It'll be a good time. So that's coming up. Put that in your diary.
Hi folks, I'm so glad you're able to connect with the message today. I want to start by asking you a very personal question. How spiritually alive do you feel right now? Because it's one thing to witness spiritually empty people outside the church, but it's another thing to see Christians inside the church who suffer the same spiritual emptiness. You know, over and over again, over the years, we've given Christians just a simple prescription. If you want to grow, all you have to do is develop a quiet time and go to church every weekend. And yet many Christians have found this traditional quiet time to be somewhat helpful, but rather restrictive and inadequate to build an ongoing, life-giving relationship with God. So we're exploring different spiritual pathways that enable us to connect with God that naturally work best for us. So as you listen to this series of sermons, I pray that God would awaken your heart and inspire you to connect with Him in a fresh way.
Folks, we are almost finished our series on sacred pathways. Today and then next week is the last one. That's been 9 weeks. So if you have your booklet with you, please take it out. If you don't have one and you want one, there's some still in the foyer for you. A sacred pathway is anything that helps us to come alive to God, to connect with God, to worship God. And there are many ways we can do that. We don't just have one. Usually there's a few together. They kind of, like a braid, they kind of weave in together and it becomes a complete way in which we connect with God. We've looked at the naturalist, the one who connects best with God in the outdoors, in nature, the sensate who comes alive to God when their 5 senses are awakened. There's the ascetic, the one who loves to be in solitude, take away the bells and whistles and just close the door in there alone to be with God. There's the activist who loves to be out there confronting injustice. They stand up for those who are marginalised. Then there's the caregiver who sees God in the face of those they care for. And last week we looked at the enthusiast who encounters God through expectation and celebration. Today we are looking at the contemplative who loves God through adoration. Contemplatives refer to God as their lover. And images of a loving father or a bridegroom best capture their view of God. Their focus is not necessarily on serving God or doing God's will or accomplishing great things for God. Rather, these people seek to love God with the purest, deepest, brightest love imaginable. And so I've got a couple of questions that'll be on the screen. Again, from a scale of 0 to 5, just put a number on where you think these questions resonate with you. I feel closest to God when my emotions are awakened, when God quietly touches my heart, tells me that he loves me, and makes me feel like I'm his closest friend. The most difficult times in my faith are when I want to feel God's presence, not just know it, but feel it. The words lover, intimacy, and heart are very appealing to me. Or I really enjoy having 30 minutes of uninterrupted time each day to sit in quiet prayer as though I'm holding hands with God and enjoying his presence. So if anyone scored 12 or more, any hands here? There's a few of us, yeah. So this may be one of your pathways, a way in which you connect with God. I have 3 that are in the top position, and this is one of them for me. So I'm really loving this week, and I've enjoyed preparing this sermon. Contemplatives seek to gaze lovingly into God's face and be caught up in the rapture of a lover's experience. They are marked by adoration. If you're familiar with the Old Testament, you would know of the patriarchs of the faith. There's Abraham, who had Isaac, who had Jacob, and Jacob had 12 sons. His youngest was Benjamin. And this is what God says of Benjamin. The beloved of the Lord rests in safety. The Most High surrounds him all day long, and Benjamin rests between God's shoulders. So in other words, Benjamin loves to rest his head on God's chest. And we see that in the beloved disciple John at the Last Supper, who loves to rest his head on Jesus' chest. Resting in God's arms is the favourite pastime of contemplatives. They want to enjoy God and learn to love God in deeper ways. Contemplatives remind us that God doesn't seek obedience from detached servants, but rather those who experience passionate love that is so strong it burns all other bonds. Now, there are several biblical passages that describe a love relationship between God and God's people. So I want to read to you from Deuteronomy 7. The Lord did not set his heart on you and choose you because you were more numerous than any other nations, for you were the smallest of all nations. Rather, it was simply that the Lord loves you, and he was keeping the oath he had sworn to your ancestors. So this passage is a beautiful description of a loving God who loves us passionately. And the following passage, Psalm 63, is beautiful and probably the most complete description of a contemplative's love for God. So I'll read this to you. O God, you are my God. I earnestly search for you. My soul thirsts for you. My whole body longs for you in this parched and weary land where there is no water. I have seen you in your sanctuary and gazed upon your power and glory. Your unfailing love is better than life itself. How I praise you. I wonder if we can truly echo those words with absolute truth and integrity. I will praise you as long as I live, lifting up my hands to you in prayer. You satisfy me more than the richest feast. I will praise you with songs of joy. I lie awake thinking of you, meditating on you through the night. I cling to you. Your strong right hand holds me securely. There is so much passion in that, so much devotion, so much adoration. Like David, the king who wrote this psalm, puts his head on God's chest, like Benjamin, like John the disciple, and God holding them close. That is the image of a lover and a beloved, just cuddling in, just being close and intimate. This isn't a girly thing, by the way. The writer of this psalm, and in fact the writers of all the well-known love songs throughout the world, are written by men. So it's not necessarily a feminine thing to use the language of lover and beloved. With the passionate and earnest words from this psalm, David fulfills the charge that has been given to the community of faith, and I'll read that to you from Deuteronomy 6. Listen, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord alone, and you must love the Lord your God with all of your heart, your soul, and your strength, and you must commit yourselves wholeheartedly to these commands that I am giving to you today. It's interesting that heart is mentioned first in this command, because the heart is the seat of our emotion and it's what God requires of us. We must commit ourselves wholeheartedly. So all of our emotion, not just our intellect, not just our choices, not our money, not just our time, but our feelings get involved in our love for God. This language describes passion, single-minded devotion, both from God to God's people and from us to God. It's a two-way street of passionate love and devotion. This is why Jesus reiterates this passage as the greatest commandment. In Matthew 22, the Pharisees approach Jesus and say, "Teacher, which is the most important commandment of the law?" Hoping that Jesus would say something like keeping the Sabbath, washing your hands, keeping yourself pure, something like that, that they could just tick that box and go, that's me. But Jesus replied, you must love the Lord your God with all of your heart, your soul, and your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. So the greatest commandment, better than anything else that we can do for God or anything that we can give to God, is the depths of our heart. That place where all of our emotions, all of our motivations arise. We give that to God. It's greater to God than anything else. In this next passage I read to you, God is reminiscing of the mutual love shared between him and Israel. I'll read to you from Jeremiah 2. Go and proclaim in the hearing of Jerusalem, I remember the devotion of your youth, your love as a bride, how you followed me into the wilderness in a land not sown. Oh, God is describing his love and the love of Israel like two young lovers running off together into the wilderness. And then the very next chapter, God describes his love for people is so intense that when Israel strays from God, he actually refers to it as betrayal and adultery. So the very next chapter, I'm going to read to you a couple of verses, but I'd love your participation in this. That includes you at home. You are invited to participate in this. And when I give you a signal, I want to hear an audible gasp. Can you do that? Yeah. And then at the very end, I'll give you a final signal, and I want to hear this like, oh. You know, it's like somebody is in gold medal contention in the Commonwealth Games, and then they trip in the last minute and then come last. You go, oh. I want to hear that at the end, okay? Rightio, reading from Jeremiah chapter 3. The Lord said to me in the days of King Josiah, have you seen what she did, that faithless Israel, how she went up on every high hill and under every green tree and prostituted herself there. And I thought, after she's done all of this, she'll return to me. But she did not return. And her false sister Judah saw it. She saw that for all of the adulteries of that faithless Israel, I sent her away with a decree of divorce. Yet her false sister Judah did not fear, but she also went and prostituted herself. Because she took her prostitution so lightly, she polluted the land, committing adultery with stone and tree. Yet for all of this, her false sister Judah did not return to me with her whole heart, but only in pretense. That's so good. This is the cry of a heartbroken God. And it's not just Jeremiah who says this. It's recorded in Ezekiel and Hosea. God feels our rejection so strongly that his pain at our straying is no less than that of a husband who finds out that his wife has been unfaithful. Hopefully, you never really know what that feels like. But if you do, perhaps you can feel the heartache of God. Most of us think Christianity is about being obedient, and ultimately, are we going to heaven or are we going to hell? Yet, Christianity is about intimacy with the Father and obedience that flows from passionate love. And Jesus describes this so beautifully in this one sentence, and I'll read it to you from John 14. I don't have much more time to talk to you because the ruler of this world approaches. He has no power over me. I do love that. The ruler of this world approaches. Got no power over me. I love that. But I will do what the Father requires of me so that the world will know that I love the Father. Here, Jesus is describing obedience that flows from passionate love. It is seen most completely in him, but it's also seen in other passages in the scriptures. And I'll give you one more example. In Matthew 26, when a woman extravagantly pours perfume on Jesus' head, some of the disciples vehemently object, but Jesus defends her act as acceptable offering of love, acceptable even above giving to the poor. So giving to the poor is admirable indeed, but lavishly expressing love for Jesus is even greater. The act is so full of adoration and love and so acceptable to Jesus that he promises this. I read you Matthew 26. Truly I tell you, wherever this good news is proclaimed in the whole world, what she has done will be told in remembrance of her. So this story reflects the contemplative's pathway. They want to express this depth of love to God. And in order to enter into that type of devotion, we must begin by emptying our lives of anything that might choke out our desire for God. These things may not necessarily be sinful things, but they just might take greater priority for our love. I've shared an example before of the second drawer in your kitchen being disordered. It's when you open it, you reach in, you're looking for the tongs or the slotted spoon or something, you've got to rummage around and find it. You know, there's a pair of tongs in the pew behind you if you need a pair, by the way, just in worship. Most people bring tongs to worship. I used to blame my husband and children for that. But now that I live alone, I realise it was actually the dog. But I want to read to you this description of the contemplative, and it comes from Augustine, and Augustine is one of our early church fathers. This is what he says. The act of contemplation is the perception of something unchangeable, accompanied by a wondrous inward joy. Its effect on the soul is to make it feel contempt for exterior things and be ravished by the things interior. So that describes the contemplative. Their inner world is rich and alive with adoration for God. And they usually don't care that much for things beyond that. Without hesitancy, with no sense of obligation, contemplatives deeply appreciate Jesus with unadulterated adoration. Time is one of the best gifts we can give to God, and contemplatives want to give God plenty of it. I want to close with this little thing that I read in one of the books as I was preparing. A man who begins giving a portion of his income to the church and its work, who carves out times like 2 or 3 times a week to attend a church service or a Bible study, who tells people about his God, who might read a book about God on a regular basis and might appear to the world to be a religious fanatic. If, however, the same man was to begin making payments on a diamond ring, spend his weekends going on dates, telling his co-workers about this lovely woman who has come into his life, and read text messages from her over and again, the world would simply say he's in love. That's what God desires of us, that devotion, that love, unashamedly expressing the depth of our love. So whether you scored high on the contemplative pathway or not, God calls for, God desires, and in fact, God commands our passionate love and devotion. So I wonder what that looks like for you, what words you would use. It may or may not be some that are found in David's Psalms, because some of them are pretty, expressive in love and devotion. But it might sound differently to you. However, what would it be like for you to take some of the Psalm 63 that I read earlier and speak it each day until it becomes the lived reality, till it actually becomes a natural part of your prayer that you can speak without having to look at it in the Bible, to say, oh God, you are my God. I earnestly search for you. My soul thirsts for you. My whole body longs for you in this parched and weary land where there is no water. What would it be like if that was your earnest prayer? Let's pray.